Would you like a smint?
He actually shows it from a perspective of the people who are being hunted, but then also the people who are doing the purchasing. Two business guys, so that's Richard Burgess Todd and Roger Bart Stewart. One of them is kind of timid.
You ready to do this? Yeah, I'm ready. Really? Because you look like your dog just died. I'm just jet lagged, man.
And then the other one is, kind of that business shark type where, he plays golf. He's got a certain attitude to him and a certain swagger.
Yes! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about, huh?
Time for the greatest show fi start anew. The ringmaster James, him step inside the frame with a wide angle.
Good morning, Creature Features, and welcome back to episode 11 of Cinema Clown Around. I'm your host, James, and today we got a very special episode for y'all. It's the Eli Roth Spotlight episode. So I'm going to go over all his best movies. So we're talking about Cabin Fever, Hostel 1 and 2, The Green Inferno. And then at the very end, I'm going to give y'all a preview of the new movie, Ice Cream Man, his new movie that's coming out just this next weekend. So looking forward to it. It's going to be an August 7th release. So there's a ton to say about Eli Roth and a lot to love, too. He's a Splat Pack director, which was a group of directors in the early 2000s who were known for really gory content in their films and just actually really well-written films too and well-crafted. And that was the one thing is a lot of those films had really low budgets, but they were able to get major box office returns. And seeing that success, they were allowed to then make more and more films. So remakes and some movies of their own. A lot of great movies from the Splat Pack. And we're going to go over some of those directors moving forward. But he also, Roth is also an actor. He appeared in Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds film and as a pretty big pivotal character. And he also recently released The History of Horror. It's 3 seasons a few years back. And he goes over all the different genres of horror. And so movies dating back to the 1930s and coming all the way up to the 2000, so like 2019 or so. So a lot of really good films, and I would highly recommend that show too. And really, Eli Roth is probably one of, if not my very favorite film director. So, get a lot of inspiration from him, and just in general, he's got some really great movies out. So, also, he's known, in my opinion, for the scariest kids movie that was ever made in The House with a Clock in Its Walls. There's a scene at the end of that film with a demon where I was wondering, how is this a kid's movie? This needs to be at least PG-13 or R-rated because this is a pretty terrifying scene with this demon. But, they were able to get away with it. So, and it was an effective scene too. So that shows you whether he's working with PG-rated film or something all the way up to, a hard R, he's still able to get those scares in. And we're going to start with Cabin Fever. It's a 2002 film.
Put her there, sport. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?
It was kind of one of those cabin in the woods films. It's mainly centered around a group of college kids who go out to a cabin in the woods.
Don't hit him or anything.
Everybody knows not to sit next to Dennis. Monger will give you tetanus.
Well, maybe you should make a sign.
For fun, and they end up contracting a flesh-eating disease. And it's a lot of fun. It's a good movie. So you have Ryder Strong as Paul, Jordan Ladd as Karen, James DeBello as Bert, and Serena Vincent as Marcy, and then Joey Kern as Jeff.
He was the guy who gave us our shoes and quarters for the video games. There was a room with a pool table, too, but my dad wouldn't let us go back there. But the bald guy, he was always happy. So
they did a really good job, and mainly they're kind of the main and core cast, considering it's set out in a cabin in the woods. And like in production in general, Eli Roth wrote this movie in 1995, and it was shortly after he worked on a horse ranch in Iceland, and he ended up contracting a flesh-eating disease there, and he wound up turning that into cinema by saying, you know, hey, there's a story here, and let's go for it. And that infamous leg shaving scene was definitely influenced by him himself shaving and seeing it. So that's pretty terrifying to think about for sure.
I want to go home.
And you know, the main studios really thought this was going to be too grotesque for like to release or to carry as a film. So he had to get independent financing to make Cabin Fever for $1.5 million, which if you look at it and you watch that movie today, it looks like it was made with a whole lot more than just $1.5 million. And adjusted for inflation, I'm not sure how much that is 2002 to now 2026, but I'm sure it's probably a lot. And there was actually a bidding war at the Toronto International Film Festival right after it premiered, and it sold to Lionsgate for $3.5 million.
Pancakes! Pancakes!
No pancakes.
Pancakes!
No pancakes!
And actually wound up becoming their highest grossing film of 2003.
Dennis, I told you to stay on the swing! Dennis!
So, you know, that definitely says a lot about his success with movies and how well he was able to make his debut directorial feature. And of course, this is probably my favorite Cabin in the Woods movie. If you know look at all the Cabin in the Woods movies in general, I grew up with this film. I think I saw it for the first time on the Sci-Fi Channel. I had missed this one in theaters because I think I was just too young back in 2002. But another thing to say about this is, if you get the DVD of Cabin Features, it has excellent Cabin Fever. It has excellent special features. You have the making of, and then a lot of interviews and things like that. So, and then some funny stuff. It also includes Eli Roth's college film that he made at NYU, which was like these small little anthropomorphic fruits that were talking to each other.
Tomorrow you'll be sharing the stage in a competition against the popular boy band C5. How do you feel about these cherry young lads who've taken the pop world by storm?
I would recommend checking it out on YouTube too. And so they made a remake of this film like shortly, I guess within 10 years or so after Cabin Fever came out. And I was thinking, why are you making a remake for this film? This is like one of the films that you don't need to make a remake for, especially so shortly after. And considering that this was so important to him in his success with horror, I don't see why they made that remake. I still haven't watched it. Maybe I should and then get back to you all about it. But I just have so much loyalty to Roth that I don't even want to go into it. And of course, one of the things that stands out about this film is it does have the perfect mix of humor and scares. So it's not just all grotesque or scary or terrifying, and there are a lot of laughs and a lot of goofball characters in the film too. And another thing about this is there are multiple threats in this. There's not just that singular threat like a demon or maybe even the disease itself. But no, the townspeople there, where they're staying for the cabin in the woods, they're hostile, of course. And then, of course, the virus, you know, is attacking them. And then Eli Roth's character has this dog, a German Shepherd that he calls Dr. Mambo.
He's cool. This is Dr. Mambo. Here, boy, come on. Come on, Dr. Mambo.
Is a doctor like a physician or a professor?
That's probably the funniest scene in the whole film is Eli Roth's cameo.
Yeah, he's a professor. Of being a dog? Ooh, faced.
But there are a lot of other funny scenes in the film too. And then, of course, another threat are each other. a threat to each other, and that they start distrusting each other about whether or not they have the virus or whether they're safe to be around. And I think that probably the most terrifying scene in Cabin Fever, the most terrifying, most grotesque, has to be the body in the reservoir scene, because that's one of the reasons that kind of kicks off this whole thing. And you see Ryder Strong's character, Paul, and he ends up falling into the water. It's I have to say, after seeing that scene in that movie, I'm like, yeah, I'll take everything else. I'll even take the leg shaving or whatever stuff over falling into the water with that body for sure. But there was a lot to love about Cabin Fever in 2002. So let me know if y'all saw it in the comments. And also, this is a good time to, if you're not subscribed to Cinema Clown Around, please press the subscribe button. Also, I love comments and likes, but the subscribe button to me is the most important for sure. So thank y'all so much for subscribing, and I appreciate it.
What are you doing?
My friend, she's very sick, and
You are very sick.
oh my God, I'm sorry. No,
That's my wife in there.
We've got Hostel from 2005. This is when he realized, okay, I can do pretty much whatever I want after the success that was Cabin Fever. So I was lucky enough to catch this one in cinemas. I'm a horror fan, obviously, with the two paintings up there. But actually, they're just prints or canvases. But I am a big horror fan, so I had the chance of seeing this in the cinema. I was a senior in high school, and I was like, I'd like to catch this film at the movies, and I did. It stars Jay Hernandez as Paxton, Derek Richardson as Josh, Ethel Gilderson as Ollie, and Barbara Nidakova as Natalia. And Quentin Tarantino boarded as an executive producer to this project.
Aren't you a little young?
And that's one of the things I remembered from a lot of television ads is you would see executive producer Quentin Tarantino, and it's like, okay, so what's going on? He's backing this young horror director.
What?
And saying like, hey, we'll get your movie made. And that really piqued my interest. So I had to go and see it at the movies. And this movie was different than anything I've ever seen before. I've never seen something so brutal or gory. And this definitely is one of the reasons why they're called the Splat Pack, is just the amount of gore and brutality in the film too. And again, just like his first film, and like a lot of really good horror films, there's that perfect balance of fun and scary. The first Hostel is a lot more serious and a lot more scary. Although there's some serious stuff that happens in the second Hostel too. And I feel like there's been a lot of copies and clones to this film, but none have even come close to being like the original film, Hostel. And just an excellent movie. And I would also say check out the double meaning there in the title, Hostel. It refers to like a place to stay, similar to like a hotel or something like that. But I don't know, there is also that hostile meaning there. There could be that double meaning if you don't actually see the spelling and someone's talking about it. And he actually got this idea from a real life dark web website, and he discovered it was like this Thailand website where you could allegedly pay $10,000 to do the stuff that they do in the movie.
You could spend all your money in there.
Which, in the Hostel movies, they're about a group of travelers, American travelers who head to Europe, Eastern Europe, for vacation. And they end up falling into the hands of this, it's almost kind of a corporation, but after paying a certain price. And then by doing that, you kind of join this club.
Let me show you something. This is pretty sweet. Check this out. What do you think of this? Come on, let me see yours. Come on, let me see yours.
And in the club, everybody has these tattoos. There are these tattoos of, it's like a bloodhound or something. And I remembered I think it was the first or the second DVD, they included little temporary tattoos of the bloodhound. And I thought that was really cool. And I don't have any tattoos, but if I ever were to get any kind of a tattoo and had to quickly make a decision, I might go for that bloodhound just because of the iconic horror meaning behind it. And they filmed this for $4.8 million in Prague. And they actually used an abandoned psychiatric hospital. And that was able to get this bleak atmosphere. And you could definitely tell watching the films. It's like, okay, they chose their locations, their shooting locations very carefully here. And Roth, I mean, in general, he seems like he's very good with travel horror or location horror. People, you know, being out of their element, not at home, not with the comforts and luxuries, but having that existential threat. And of course, when I saw this, I had that film Cabin Fever on my mind, and I was thinking, okay, so he's made this first one. That's his, you know, debut, and I enjoyed it. There was a lot to enjoy in it. And he's got this Quentin Tarantino label again. What are we going to get here? And it was an excellent film, and immediately made me a very loyal Eli Roth fan. I absolutely love this movie, and definitely highly recommend it. And I've never been to Europe, but I do wonder if this is what it's like there. Like, is it like the Hostel movies? And I'm thinking it probably isn't, but you know, y'all let me know in the comments, please. And then of course the eyeball scene is probably the worst of the whole film. So definitely keep an eye out for the eyeball scene, because wow, that's a rough scene for sure. And there are a lot of haters out there because, you know, this movie grossed $82 million. That's under $5 million to make, and making $82 million. Of course, this is going to be a success, and it's going to allow him to make more and more films. And a lot of people would call this like the torture genre, or they call it like, you know, this is a torture type of movie. And really, you know, sure, I guess, but it's a horror movie. So if you're going to go see a horror movie, horrible things are going to happen. So I don't really understand why there was so much strange backlash to this. I guess people were just upset by the amount of gore, the level of gore, and maybe the fact that Roth was willing to push the envelope. Because that's the one thing that, you know, nobody can take away from Eli Roth, is that he pushed the envelope with his films. And to get backlash like he did and have people saying, oh, those movies are terrible. Oh, no. Well, go and check these movies out, these Splat Pack movies. They're well made, they're well acted, excellently directed, and they're just a whole lot of fun and have a ton of rewatch value. So, you know, there's a lot of haters out there, but that just means that's a successful director, because if you're not making waves, then that means no one's really paying attention. And people were paying attention enough for him to be allowed to make a Hostel Part 2. And this came out in 2007. Now, we've got Lauren German as Beth, Bijou Phillips as Whitney, Heather Mastrano as Lorna, Roger Bart as Stuart, and then Richard Berge as Todd.
Yes! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about, huh?
So for the sequel, Roth took the plot and he flipped the dynamic for this. So instead of just showing it from the perspective of the people who are going to be hunted.
Wow, I didn't think. Jesus, you sure?
He actually shows it from a perspective of the people who are being hunted, but then also the people who are doing the purchasing. two business guys. So that's Richard Burgess Todd and Roger Bart Stewart. One of them is kind of timid.
You ready to do this? Yeah, I'm ready. Really? Because you look like your dog just died. I'm just jet lagged, man.
And then the other one is, kind of that business shark type where, he plays golf. He's got a certain attitude to him and a certain swagger.
Yeah. Badass.
And he's the one who comes up with the idea of, hey, it's a good idea to go and take part in this stuff and go and join this organization. Whereas the friend, he's a little hesitant, of course. And to see it from their perspective, too, I was blown away when I saw this film.
Would you sit down? These guys aren't playing.
The tattoo was a little difficult to explain, Todd.
Well, it didn't seem like you had any problem explaining away the gonorrhea you brought back from Thailand.
I missed this film in cinemas, but I ended up renting it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I went back and bought a copy from my local video store, which it was called Movie Shack, and it was an excellent movie store. If y'all were ever at Movie Shack, let me know. It's here in Seabrook, and actually it was considered the second Movie Shack. Switch in perspectives also allows for a lot of humor.
Oh, she cornered me in the apartment. She's homesick, crying. I felt bad. What am I supposed to say? She's homesick for Baltimore?
Because you see the two guys and the dynamic between the two of the one guy with the aggressive personality and the one guy who's a lot more laid back. And I have to say, this might be my favorite Eli Roth film. Just because of the way that he completely reinvented the sequel and allowed for it to continue the story, but also tell a whole brand new one from a different perspective. And just definitely innovative horror. I have to highly recommend this film.
You have my money and you can keep it. I'm not going back in that room. I'm done.
Hey, hey.
And of course, there's a lot of Italian horror homages from Roth. He actually cast real life horror icon directors. So he had Ruggero Deodato, the director of Cannibal Holocaust, which we're going to get into a little bit later. And also Edwig French. So, of course, one of the horrible things about this film, and it's not about the film, it's about its release, is that it was ruined by internet pirates. So shame on you, internet pirates, for releasing what was, I guess, could have been considered a DVD or near DVD quality version of the film. So that to me is a major disappointment because, maybe you see Roth making Hostel Part 3 instead of handing it off to another director, which was what they did. And I still need to watch that, sit down and watch it all the way through. It's nothing like the first two, where I've seen those countless times. And like Hostel Part 2 in general, it's on my list of best films. So that's such a shame that it was ruined by pirates. And I'm curious to see what the returns would have been had it been protected and not had been released on the internet. Because, this was 2007. People were pirating stuff on the internet. People were pirating stuff on the internet from back in 2002, I remember. And it's definitely a shame that this film was that. So that's the one thing that you could say about the film's release. But other than that, this is a horror gem. And it was an epiphany for me, for sure, because it was like, wow, the way that he expanded the story. Also, just the personalities in the film of the two business guys, but then also the corporation behind this whole thing, who insist on those tattoos of the bloodhounds, and also the personalities of the travelers themselves who are being hunted. Just a lot to love. And I wish that he would have done number 3 again. I think it would have been excellent. I did hear a rumor. I think he may be working on another sequel or possibly a horror series for Peacock. I think maybe someone had like turned it down, so it would either went from a series to a movie or movies to a series. But anyway, Eli Roth is going to be producing another Hostel, either film or show, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I highly love this film.
Do you guys have $1?
I got to give an honorable mention to the Smint scene, just because it's pretty funny.
I have Smints. Would you like a Smint?
So definitely check out Hostel Part 2. Excellent movie, and on my list of best horror movies ever.
I make you pretty. Pretty for what? For the client.
The Green Inferno from 2013. Oh boy. So Roth, with all of his movies, you have Cabin Fever, extreme gore, grotesque. It was hard to watch too, but it was so excellent. Hostel #1 gets even more extreme, even more intense. Hostel Part 2, he escalates it even more as this horror director with that tension and that gore and just that masterful crafting of the horror film that he does. So by the time you get to 2013 with the Green Inferno, and he was pretty much really pushing the envelope as far as he could push it. After I saw this, it's like, could you really get any gorier than this? And really, I don't think so. The Green Inferno is by far the goriest film that I've ever seen in my life. I waited forever to see this movie too. I remembered because it was kind of mired in one of those production type things where nobody wanted to release it, or I guess people were nervous about releasing it because of the level of gore, because of the fact that what the film is about is a group of college students who fly from New York to South America.
When do we want? When do we want it? When do we want? When do we want it? Yeah!
In order to try and help save the rainforest, but also a tribe that lives in that rainforest, which is about to be taken over by deforestation, and the land is all going to be turned over and developed. And this group of college students go down to South America, and they do successfully stop work from going forward. And they're all celebrating, they're happy, and they're on their plane ride home, and the plane crashes, and they're captured by the very tribe that they had just saved.
Well, it's so simple. There are procedures. We can't just go invade a country because they're doing something that we think is illegal or immoral.
But it turns out that the tribe is made up of cannibals. So, you know, they're then put in a cage and fed pretty much, and I guess fattened up until they're ready to eat. And looking at the cast, you have Lorenza Izzo as Justine, Ariel Levy as Alejandro, Daryl Sabra as Lars, and then Kirby Bliss Bland as Amy. And Eli Roth actually took a film crew and the cast deep into the remote Peruvian jungle in order to make this film. And one of the things that's fantastic about this is it's so real because it has excellent special effects. I mean, it just looks so real. And the level of gore, the way that they're able to make these practical effects look like people are actually eating people. The film director I had mentioned earlier, who makes that Hostel Part 2 cameo, Ruggero Deodato, he's the director of Cannibal Holocaust, which Cannibal Holocaust was the film that inspired Eli Roth to write and direct The Green Inferno, which Eli Roth said that a lot of that inspiration, so Cannibal Holocaust is pretty much the same thing about a group of activists who are going to go help save the rainforest. And they're making a documentary in the film Cannibal Holocaust, and the documentary is called The Green Inferno, so that's how he got that title. And I love the way that he does that homage to the controversial Italian horror. So that director of Cannibal Holocaust was actually jailed after he made that film Cannibal Holocaust, because people thought that he actually did that to these people on film, and he actually had to have the actors appear in court to show, like, hey, look, we're still alive. And if you're making waves like that, then you're going to be remembered. I waited and waited and waited to see this film, and I was lucky enough to finally get to see this in theaters. It definitely delivered on the hype. And one of the problems was financial complications with distribution kept the film on the shelf for 2 years until it finally was released. Because I remember them talking about it. He was filming it. They said, okay, it's ready to go. And then I waited for, it says here, and I waited for 2 years for this to be turned around and for us to finally be able to see the film. And I saw it at the cinema on the big screen. It was gory. It was, I hate to use this word, but it was epic.
Are you okay? Yeah, thanks. Small planes always make me nervous. I feel like we're gonna crash.
And one of the really cool parts about it is he has an airplane crash, but he has the practical airplane crash. So you're actually seeing it. And they built this full-size airplane model, and the actors are inside it. And just, I love the way that they did that too. And it shows that horror movies and horror directors, they'll want to rely more so on practical if they get the chance, just because it looks so much better. But of course, I guess that depends on the director. And this is definitely my favorite cannibal film. I mean, there are only so many of them out there, but Roth, as well as bringing the cast and crew out to the Peruvian rainforest, also actually hired one of the local tribes out there who had never seen a movie before. So he said, okay, this is the film that we're kind of trying, this is the film like the film we're trying to make. So he showed them Cannibal Holocaust. And the locals there thought the film was so hilarious that they all said, okay, yeah, we want to be in this movie. And they were excited to be in the film. And like, kind of a funny little piece of information from the film is Roth said that as they were sitting there, when the cameras weren't rolling, some of the kids and stuff were eating the fake hands that were made of chicken. And Roth had to say, hey, no, don't eat unless we're shooting. And they had to explain to the kids, only eat when the cameras are rolling. So, because otherwise they're going to eat up all the practical special effect hands, fake meat hands that they brought out there. So that was kind of a funny piece of information. And there has never been a movie shot in this location of Peru where Eli Roth took them out to. He said he originally wanted to take them to Chile, but they wound up going to Peru because Chile doesn't have any jungle. He wanted that specific jungle type of look, or the rainforest. And I would highly recommend y'all check this film out if you haven't seen it. It's definitely gory, and it's a film you don't want to watch while you're eating. Also, one of the funniest scenes in the film is towards the beginning when Lorenza Izzo is having dinner with her friend and her friend's father at a steakhouse. And it's just kind of a funny nod to the character there in Hostel 2.
Are you gonna have that cheese bread?
Knock yourself out.
Thanks.
And then up next, we've got a preview for Eli Roth's Ice Cream Man film that's coming out in 2026, and I am excited for it. Every time an Eli Roth movie comes out, I get really excited, I get all hyped up, I go and see it, and I'm really excited for this one. So we're getting a summer release, August 7th, 2026, and he's got a new horror label called the Horror Section, and this is not going to be a remake or a sequel, because there was a campy 90s horror Clint Howard movie called The Ice Cream Man. And I remember going to video stores and seeing it, and it looked like a really silly horror film. But he actually has been working on this for a long time because it's been about 20 years because all these studios were passing on it. They were nervous about it. And if we look back to his other films, there seems to be a pattern here of studios being more and more increasingly nervous to put his films out because of the subject matter. But I mean, as we had mentioned, that shows that he's a memorable director. And this is set during the summer, so it's good that they've got this summer release. And it's this small town, and a mysterious ice cream man comes in and is rolling out down throughout the streets and stuff. And he's serving out ice cream, but it starts to do something strange and sinister to the local kids, and actually starts to like override their brains and put them in a hive mind. Now, cast and crew, we've got Orphan Black alumni, Arian Millen, and then also Benjamin Byron Davis from Red Dead Redemption, Kieran Cliché, and Sarah Abbott. And then what's pretty cool about this is you've got rap icon Nas, who actually is the executive producer, and he brought in horror legend Snoop Dogg, who actually is going to be crafting the entire musical soundtrack. So if you got Eli Roth working with Snoop Dogg, that means the music in this film is going to be impeccable. I'm looking forward to it. Sounds like it's going to be a party. The Ice Cream Man. And Eli Roth brought back an Oscar winner, Adrienne Moreau, who won an Oscar for prosthetic makeup effects. So he did The Whale, and then he also did Thanksgiving, which Thanksgiving was a recent Eli Roth release, and we're going to be getting a sequel to that one too. But really looking forward to The Ice Cream Man. Considering that the studios were passing on it and nervous, I think it's going to be pretty intense. So we're going to get a pretty good movie here. So thank you all so much for tuning in to episode 11 of Cinema Clown Around. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up. I'm working on that Adam Sandler video. We've got a Rob Zombie video, and then also Red Rocket and some stuff with the Joker. So got some fun ideas in mind, and we're going to get it going. And so let me know if you plan on checking out The Ice Cream Man, and let me know if you've seen any of these other Eli Roth movies and what your favorite would be. Also, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Subscribing is incredibly important, and I appreciate my audience. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Stay in the cinema.
I have Smint's. Would you like a Smint?